I'm Judy Stiles. Thank you for joining us this week on Newsmakers. Well, today we're focusing on services for area senior citizens, and more specifically, the Area Agency on Aging and its Region 10. Joining me, we have Jennifer Shotwell, the CEO, and Allison Riddle, the Community Services Director. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
I think we need to start off with just an explanation when you use the term Area Agency on Aging Region 10. What are we talking about?
We are the 10th region in the state of Missouri. 9 others operate. We were created under the Older Americans Act, and our Region 10 began in 1979-ish.
Okay, so you've been around for a while.
But the Area Agency on Aging oversees the operation of all of our senior centers, and we have 7 of them, from Lamar all the way to Knoll, and all the Meals on Wheels, and a myriad of other programs. If you're age 60 and up and you need information or services, chances are we could either provide it for you or refer you to someone specific that you need to talk to.
So we're really looking at the counties right up the state line, starting with McDonald, Newton, Jasper, and up into Barton County?
All the way up to North Barton County, and then all the way down to the Arkansas line, down to Jane.
So, and as you mentioned age 60 and up, is that the definition of senior when we talk about that?
It is, and that stings a lot of people because as we were talking earlier, you don't really feel like you're a senior citizen at 60, but that is our cutoff, and those are definitions that are given to us federally.
Okay, so a lot of the things we're talking about today fitting people in that age group and up, but even if the younger viewers are watching, they may have parents or grandparents in that age group, and tying all that together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Jennifer, you're the CEO, have been recently taking over the position a few months back. Tell me a little bit about what that involves.
Wow, it's a lot. It's a blessing. It's something that I'm taking much joy in. It's a lot of hard work. As I said, I have 7 senior centers over 4 counties, and we last year, fiscal year 18, served 85,000 meals in our senior centers. Wow. We home delivered another 270,000 of those meals, and like I said, provided a myriad of other support services like respite care information and referrals, public information, homemaker services, and the list goes on.
Right. So really, it's a large pot of different involved activities in one title.
It is. And one thing that I was unaware of when I was talking about taking this job was how much work is done at the state level and how much work is done at the national level. Like we said, there are 10 agencies in the state of Missouri. Right. We come together as a board called MA4. We work a lot with the state. Each state in the United States has area agencies on aging, and those come together at the national level and 4A. So I have had the pleasure of being in Washington, D.C. this year, and of course meet up with my peers in Jefferson City every month. So
really it involves some advocacy for seniors as well.
Absolutely.
In tying that
Well,
together.
there are certain programs under the Older Americans Act that the area agencies on aging are required to provide, not only the meal program, they are required to provide legal services, transportation, ombudsman services through like assisted living, nursing home care, things like the family caregiver program, which would be the respite and the homemaker services, homebound services. And while we may not be able to provide all of those out of our office, we contract out for a lot of those services, but they're under our umbrella along with the meals. So, people might call and say, I need legal help. Well, I'm not an attorney, but we can refer you on to the resource that you can go to. Yeah. So while we're a small building, and while we do, our main program would be the Meals on Wheels, and that's mainly what we're known for in the senior centers. There are a lot of other programs that are going on as well that a lot of people rely on too. So
even though we're recording this program in Joplin, our coverage area for the television station goes across state lines. If somebody's watching on the Kansas, Oklahoma side, they probably have a similar agency or somewhere in their community.
And of course they are welcome, and we do get a lot of people from out of state that come. Our senior centers are a point of social interaction. Some of our senior centers have some really, really intense pool leagues, bridge tournaments, and we do get people and players from Cherokee County or Benton County, Arkansas, and you can go to any senior center you like.
Okay, so it doesn't mean just because you don't live in that community you can't go utilize those facilities.
Yeah. There are some programs within like we mentioned before, the family caregiver services, some of the services, some of our Medicare counseling services, things like that are state specific.
Right.
That they have to be residents of the counties that we serve, but we always are able to guide them towards their area agency on aging in their state.
If they have questions, they
Right.
can contact you and find out more. Well, it sounds like a big area of what you're working with, keeping seniors informed and getting the word out.
Absolutely. Social isolation is a huge problem among seniors. It's heart-wrenching to me when I hear or some of our rural delivery drivers come back and say, you know, they haven't talked to anybody else in days, and I'm the only human face they have seen. So that wellness check, that social interaction is so very important.
Right.
Our senior centers provide a hub for that, but there's a lot that can't get out or can't get out regular enough to get what they need to stay mentally fit, to stay well-grounded.
Well, and the services that we provide are really designed to keep them at home as long as possible. They all kind of work together. The senior centers, Meals on Wheels, if they need help with, finding resources to help pay for their prescription medicines, in-home care, a wide, homebound services, someone to help them with their pick up their groceries, things like that. They're usually just one incident away from going into a nursing home. And that's kind of been kind of a theme, one incident away, is that, they really are one incident away from possibly going from being at home and then going into a nursing home.
Independence versus going elsewhere.
Right.
So for someone who's watching, maybe not a senior, but they may think of a family member or a neighbor that this type of service might apply to them, they could call you and say, I have a grandparent or I have a parent who might have this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just because you need, you can't get out to get your groceries or you aren't able to put them up if you did get them delivered, that doesn't necessarily mean that you've lost your independence. The national average is $7,200 a month for nursing home care, and the services we provide cost much less than that. And if that's the deciding factor of when it's time for nursing home care or assisted living, we would like to provide those services as long as possible for people.
Give them that opportunity to try that.
To stay at home.
Stay at home, right. Well, you mentioned the Meals on Wheels, and obviously that is one of the most visible, and I've talked to people and they said, well, that's the agency that deals with the Meals on Wheels. Very well known, but I imagine is also very high demand for the services.
It is.
It is high demand.
And we're finding that our numbers are going up and up and up.
And the congregate meals are going down.
So congregate being people who come to the centers.
Yes. So the people that are aging out of the senior centers, they're getting, they're older.
Right.
They're switching over to the homebound meal program.
Well, let's explain how that works, for people that, they've heard of it, how many days a week do you provide food? How does a Meals on Wheels program work?
It's based on need. Our senior centers deliver hot meals within the city limits of where they're located. And that's 5 days a week. We're only open Monday through Friday.
Through the weekdays, right?
Rural participants can sometimes qualify for 7 meals. They're frozen meals. I've eaten them. They're pretty tasty.
So they can have something in the refrigerator, freezer over the weekend to heat up.
And those are the trucks that you see, the white trucks with our logo.
Right.
They go every day. They deliver way out into the boonies. And if you can imagine a senior needing Meals on Wheels that lives way out may live all the way down in Jane, down in Knoll.
So they're going way the back roads to find someone
the
to help
back
them
roads,
out.
the dirt roads, the hard to travel, the very isolated seniors are out there.
And we've become a culture where we don't stay put. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My father still lives there, so herein lies the issue. I mean, your kids grow up, your grandkids grow up, and they disperse. And they go
leave
find their careers.
Parents at home, and the grandparents stay in that town.
Right. And it's not that we see so much neglect as much as when you're younger, you don't realize the need, and people are proud. You don't often say, I'm doing fine. 10-minute conversation a week is it's a long week when you look forward to the next one.
Right. Well, I know you have some graphics that are called Fast Facts, and I think they have that they can pull up on the screen for us as far as the costs of the Meals on Wheels. Obviously, you're providing food, so there's going to be some costs.
And these numbers are fluid, of course, so we can update this as often as we need to. But As of right now, probably pretty close to what it is right now.
Yeah.
What's showing right there is the average cost of one hot meal served at the senior center costs us about $1,300. And if you go underneath that,
$13, right?
Yeah.
right. If you go down below that, it says $2.40 is the average donation we receive to help pay for that.
So people come to the senior centers, they're able to give a donation, drop some money in the hat.
They can drop some money in the hat, or if they don't have money, they don't have to drop money in the hat.
Okay.
We never ask for payment.
No. There's a requested donation of $3.50, but again, that's not required. So if there's someone that really needs a meal that doesn't have any money, nobody questions
You're
it.
not going to say you can't eat today, you didn't pay for
Right,
it.
right. And then at the very bottom of that, it's how many meals were served last year at our senior centers.
And that's
so
just within
close
this region.
to 86,000 hot meals were served
And 7 senior centers.
in 7 senior centers. And if you want to scroll back
So go
down.
back to on the top, then you also have the Meals on
and
Wheels
then the Meals on
statistics.
Wheels side. Right, you want to read that?
It costs us about $6 per meal, and those are, again, the frozen meals. We get an average of 35 cents.
To pay for those $6 meals.
Yes.
So that's a pretty, compared to the
percentage-wise,
congregate.
right? Right.
And again, if you want to look at that 270,000 number as far as how many meals we deliver, that definitely shows you the need. How do we come up with funding? We do get federal, state funds. Never covers the cost of everything. There's never enough. We supplement that with these donations, which are invaluable
These
to us.
play a big role in helping
Absolutely.
you meet that budget.
Absolutely. And local community partners, community donations, we do fundraisers throughout the year. We do a lot of local grant work, some state grant work as well, to supplement those charges, those costs.
Right.
And the inescapable reality is that labor costs go up, food costs go up, our numbers go up. Funding,
Gas to run those trucks goes up.
Right.
Funding never keeps
Groceries,
pace.
yeah. And so, we do things just what all of, other nonprofits do. We ask for donations online through
Right.
Facebook. We have a donate button through Facebook. You can donate from our website. You can bring a check in. We're always asking for donations. I think, like we said before, the Meals on Wheels program and the senior centers are they're not really out in the open. You don't see a lot of those homebound seniors out and about because
Right.
they're homebound.
So the different groups that you're serving.
Right. And the only time really I've found a lot of people that I talk to that know the program are people whose family members have had to go on it. And so we just try to keep that in the public eye as much as possible and express to them how important it is not only for food but to keep them at home longer, and also that provide some socialization for those people.
Now you mentioned the people who interact with them. You depend on the volunteers to get the food to these people throughout, like for Joplin, for instance, you have certain routes or ways people volunteer to every Wednesday or every Thursday take certain package.
Right, or in some cases 5 days a week. They have their routes. They get to know their clients very well. It is volunteer driven in our within city limits. We do have several rural route drivers that will drive to Jane. So as we're pitching, we would love volunteers. Don't think that you would have to be driving all over.
Right, it'd be local.
Southwest
So you
Missouri.
could say, I live in Joplin, I work in
Right,
Joplin.
or
Right.
I'm in Webb City. You
I'll
can work
work in
out of
Webb
any
City.
senior center you
Okay.
want. So if you're in Carl Junction, you can do
You
it
help your
there.
neighbors in your
Help-
community.
It would
Right.
be your neighbors, right? Right.
And to walk you through a normal day of a volunteer out of our center, you come in, the kitchen staff, and we have some amazing kitchen staff employees throughout our 7 centers. They prepare the hot meals. They bag them up for you. You take your insulated totes to your car. You're given a route sheet, and sometimes that route sheet has notes. Knock very loudly, or dog doesn't bite. That kind
Right,
of
go
thing.
in houses you haven't seen before.
Right,
Sure. And you're given a route that's the most expeditious for you, depending on what city that you volunteer with. Depends on how long it takes.
Right.
So Carl Junction, maybe 45 minutes to an hour. I was lucky enough to go on one of those routes, and the volunteer drivers generally kind of rotate their routes so they can spend a little bit more time at the tail end.
Okay.
You have a deadline. You have hot food. So,
Right, that
so
food's
you
sitting
can't-
there keeping warm.
As much as your heart wants to stay there and talk to everyone, you just don't have time. I mean, you need to get that food out. People are expecting it, but they do. They'll rotate around and keep people for last, so they can spend that extra 10 or 15 minutes or hour, as it were. You know, it's
So they know Mrs. Smith or Mrs. Jones really would like to talk to you.
Yeah,
so we'll get
might
her
wanna
into
talk
that.
a little longer.
Right. Whatever. Yeah.
And then you go back and you turn in your empty carriers to the kitchen. I mean, it's that simple. It's very rewarding. It's gut wrenching and joyous at the same time. You really feel good about doing what you're doing.
You're seeing the difference you're making in these people's lives, and
Yes.
are many of these people, this is the only warm meal they get that
Yeah,
day?
a lot of the time. Not in every situation, but a lot of the time this probably is the only hot meal that they'll have that day. I know that with my grandmother, she would have cheese and crackers for a meal, and or fruit, and just whatever she was able to cut and make. Stand up at the kitchen. You think going in and making yourself a meal, you take that for granted. A lot of these people can't stand up for very long. They can't cut their food, they can't cook it. So you're right, for a lot of people this is the only hot meal that they receive, and they may eat off of it all day.
Right, it's a lot of good sized servings, so they can have that for lunch and dinner perhaps sometimes.
And it's approved by a nutritionist. It provides 33.33% of your daily nutritional needs. It's very good, actually. I eat at the centers all the time. Very good food.
So give
And
them
you and the volunteers, I've gone on routes too, and a couple is usually a good, we have a lot of married couples. One will drive and the other one will
gets out of the car and
jump out of the car, and they're very organized, and once they get their route down, it's get that meal to those people.
Now, is this something, I know people watching me say, do you need more volunteers to do this? Is it something,
Yes.
what do they call the center? Do they call the office? Say, well, I might be able to do this maybe even just once a week. Can you?
Yeah, definitely contact the center in the city that you would like to volunteer. They would be happy to take care of you. Joplin has a huge need right now, of course, because it's the largest area within the city limits. We're actually needing some committed volunteers in that location. When it comes down to adding another route, it's difficult because you're committing to someone's
Right. I'm going to
meal
provide you
delivery.
food, right?
So showing up one day and not the next, or maybe we need 5 couples and each will take a day. That's where we're at right now. We're
Do you have people kind of on a waiting list, or as far as
we do.
We do in Joplin.
So people would like to have that service, but you don't have the people to bring them the food for that service.
And we hate that. I mean, that's the last thing that you want to do.
Right.
But they can always go to our website and look at we have a list of our senior centers there with phone numbers and addresses, or they can call our main number. It's 781-7562, and just ask for the senior center that they are closest
Within
to,
their
or that they would want to work out of. But Joplin would be great too. We have some couples that do both senior centers. One couple I know does Carl Junction a couple days a week, and then they come over and do Joplin a couple days a week. And they live in Carl, I believe. So they're back and forth, and they've been volunteering for us for a long, long time. But again, those volunteers, they age out as well.
Right, the people who have they're retired probably as volunteers.
They're
They have the time to do that in the middle of the daytime.
And
right?
they do get to a point where they can't physically do it anymore.
Or they do need vacations too.
And they need time off, and they get sick, and things happen. So
we would never turn down a volunteer, though, even if you did have only 1 or 2 afternoons this week. There's plenty of things to do in the senior centers. People need help carrying their trays.
So the people that come in to eat might need some help getting their food to their table.
Refill coffee, carry trays, take trays back up. The senior center managers would be happy to put you to work.
Well, let's talk about the senior centers a little bit. I know that you have some photos that might show us some things at the senior centers.
Some of the activities,
because it's more than just a place to go get a lunch. You have a lot of things happening.
Now, this was a donation made to the Neo Show Senior Center. Last month we had our dinner plate fundraiser, which is during National Nutrition Month, which is March. And you know, the community members really support their area senior centers, so they come out and do great things for
to help them have more funds
area.
to continue
'Cause
serving.
that money will stay with Neosho.
Okay, so it's targeted for that center.
Right.
How-
Each center kind of goes through their own fundraising efforts.
Okay, all right. Let's look
Right.
at the next one.
That was actually at Neosho as well. A group of kids from Barton County Elementary School brought some books about butterflies and came over, and the kids all spent a great amount of time with the seniors and made a display for them and just spent it was a community activity, and they had a great time, and the seniors loved it.
Good intergenerational interaction there. Yeah, that's great. Easter Bunny.
Easter party, that's Web City. They had a big egg painting contest,
Okay.
and some of the centers are more active than others. They just had a vintage prom as well.
So the centers can design their own social schedule.
They kind of do their own. Like for example, Neosho, the one we just showed, they're real big on pool tournaments. Joplin is too. Web City, they have a lot of holiday parties, and you know, they all kind of. They kind of adjust it to the seniors that go there.
So do the seniors have a say? The ones who visit the center kind of have a say as far as this is what we'd like to try to do?
Yeah, and if they have ideas, they go for it. I mean, they're, you know, just fun things.
Just sort of-
Carthage has a Farkle
Tournament.
going on. Other ones have bunco, of course, bridge, dominoes, yeah, you know, you name it. But
And they get involved in their community activities, like Maple Leaf Festival over in
Right.
Carthage. They do a bake sale and a pie contest, and you know, they just get involved with the community.
through the center. And so forth.
Right,
Let's look at a
right.
couple of more pictures that you had for for us to show in the community. We had the groups together
Now
here.
this was Carl Junction, and they put together a grab and go fundraiser for their center, and they had a really good group of people volunteering and people that I believe they made different baked goods and things like that for that. That was a lot of fun. They do a lot at Carl Junction too.
Good.
And some are just better at sending me pictures.
Right,
So
right. Every
keep in
center's doing
mind
something, so that's why we're going to be
that
seeing. Right.
They all are. This was a volunteer reception. This was also in Carl Junction. They were honoring all of the volunteers. So there's a group of some of our wonderful volunteers that deliver meals, and you know, you could see the little girl in the front. They do sometimes they'll bring their grandkids along or great grandkids and eat with them, and maybe take them along on a route every now and then. So we do see the young ones there every now and then too.
Holiday activities.
This is Carl again, Carl Junction. They have a tree that every month they have a different theme. This was the spring cleaning tree, and they collected items and donated those items to Children's Haven.
Okay.
So they give back as well.
They're helping to the community in their own way of helping
Yes.
with contributions and
Yes.
putting things together.
This was Carl Junction as well. She sends me lots
of pictures from them, right?
This was during our dinner plate fundraiser, and they went out and they bussed tables
Okay.
Randy.
at Randy's Drive-In, and they're really active in their.
So they were out in the community helping to raise the funds.
Web
not in the
City
center.
and Carl Junction were the two real competitive groups this year.
Go figure.
Yeah. This was actually up in Lamar. Their manager, Stormy, in the middle, received Employee of the Year for Barton County. She's
Chamber of
much
Commerce.
loved, from the Chamber of Commerce. And I went up there and visited with them, and she was just thrilled, and they were so happy for her, and they love her up there. So it's a family.
Good sense of community.
It's a
for the
family.
atmosphere,
Yeah.
tying
So
them
there
together.
are just a lot of really neat people that work for us, and a lot of neat seniors, and they become families. They do.
I spent lunchtime down in Knoll on Friday. They were having a rummage sale going on to support their senior center and some of their activities that fall outside of what we can fund or provide. A lot of them do their own little fundraisers to help support their own programs. You know, like gifts, bingo prizes and whatnot. But
And
that
with-
was really great.
They're very their community really supports them down there too. Louine, the manager, still hasn't figured out how to send me pictures. So
You'll be getting some soon.
once we get there, I've been trying with her for about 10 years now. So well, Louine, if you're out there,
You're watching those in the
send me
future.
more pictures.
Well, you have activities obviously year-round, the centers. You also have services. I know we have a couple minutes to go, but we saw the Facebook page. You also have a website for information.
Website lists all of our services on there. We have our lunch menu on there every month, so they can go on there and check to see what we're having for lunch. We do a lot of Medicare programs. Medicare. I'm mainly involved in the Medicare.
So educating people. This
Educating people on Medicare fraud and abuse, and we do during open enrollment. We help people if they are having problems with paying for Medicare co-pays, Medicare premiums, their prescriptions. They can call us, and we can screen them for different programs. So there are a lot of things that we do that people may not know
They
about.
don't realize that's one of the services you offer.
Yeah, and if they need to know who to call, they can call us, and we usually know where to go. Yeah.
We hear a lot about our society. They say the baby boomers are aging. So the whole new wave of senior
Yes.
citizens coming in. Are you seeing that through your
Oh
centers?
my! We're going to peak about between 2025 and 2030. They estimate that at least 1/5 of the population of Missouri will be age 60 and over.
So you can see nothing but increased needs for your services.
Yes.
During Medicare open enrollment, I see a lot of baby boomers.
They hit that 65 and say, "What do I do now?" Right?
What do? I do not know anything about this. Help me. So I see a lot of baby boomers, age 67, 68. They may have worked up until they were in their late 60s. A
People
lot
are
of
working longer now, right?
Right, and now they're transitioning to Medicare, and that's a big thing too. Is that transition going from being, work-based
I've got my employee's insurance, and then I'm going to go, what do I do next? Yeah.
Right. So that's a big topic for my area.
Right.
That's a big topic for me. What I spend a lot of time on.
Right.
So.
Well, I'd like to thank both of you for coming today. We have a lot of good information, and if people need more details, they can go to your website, your Facebook page, or give you a call. What was the phone number again for the center?
781-7562, or you can stop in.
We're open 8 to noon, and we're just closed for lunch. We're open 8 to noon, and I can't even talk right now. 1 to 4.
1 to 4.
And it's 531 East 15th in Joplin. We're at the corner of 15th and Missouri, about 5 blocks east of 15th and Main.
Okay, so pretty easy to find, right
Pretty
in the heart
easy,
of the town.
right in the heart of town, and
Absolutely.
come in and ask us questions, and we have a lot of information, a lot of brochures on different topics, and they can come in and look around.
Well, thank you very much for helping out today and providing some
Thanks for
information.
having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank you, the viewers, for joining us this week. I'm Judy Stiles. Hope you can join me again next week at the same time on this station. We'll see you then.